Thank you. Okay, at this time, I will turn it over. We're going to have a informational presentation regarding potential amendments to the Spring Street redevelopment plan previously adopted December 11, 2018. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Hamilton. Oh, 2008, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a presentation, right? Yes. Okay. Tonight is just a presentation. There's no action that is contemplated tonight by the governing body. This is really just for informational purposes. Yes.
So thank you all this evening. Thank you, John, for introducing that. I'm here tonight really to talk about what I think is one of the most consequential redevelopment sites left in Morristown, and one of the only of the initial established redevelopment areas that hasn't seen a lot of redevelopment. As John mentioned and as Council President mentioned, we're here to talk about potential amendments to that redevelopment plan that was adopted in 2008, and you will see a presentation after I conclude by the contract purchaser and their team. So that is what I just said. So this is the site that we're talking about. I'm just sort of giving an overview because we've never, as a team, worked on this before. This Spring Street redevelopment area. There was one site that is under construction now, as I'm sure you all know, at the corner of Water Street and Spring Street, which I'll show you what that is and where that is. But generally speaking, this goes all the way up Mara Street to really just behind the church. There's several kind of smaller converted homes here, all the way to the restaurant that we know as Fatty's at the corner of Morris and Spring. It includes the entire Midtown Shopping Center. It does not include the nursing facility, and it is right adjacent to the Highlands here. It goes all the way down to Bishop Nazarene Way and really Water Street.
What church is that?
This is the Presbyterian Church, and the cemetery for the Presbyterian Church is right behind it.
And it includes that?
It does not.
Oh.
It goes, it
Behind
abuts
it.
it. It abuts it. So I'm just going to talk through some of these existing conditions. As you know, this is the front of it, this beautiful surface parking lot. And one of the early insights I made, and it was I think one of your colleagues that shared this insight with me, an observation, that when the highway came in the 70s in Morristown, it did a lot of things, right? It brought a lot more cars here, it brought a lot more commerce here, it created opportunity. But what's interesting is that the land uses around the main routes to and from the highway began to respond as became more of a highway commercial character. You know, this is like a shopping center that you might see on Route 10 or Route 46 or nowadays on West Hanover. But so our land uses responded to that additional traffic. Retailers saw an opportunity to pick up that traffic as highway retailers do. And this site now kind of sticks out because the rest of the town is not like that. The rest of this town did not evolve as a highway town. And now I think what you're going to see is an opportunity to sort of reverse that and to say, you know, this is a more walkable urban, for lack of a better word, urban landscape. This is the frontage down Spring Street. You can see the topographic change. This really does sit in one of the lowest points in Morristown, and I think the contract purchasers team will speak to that. But it is one of the lowest points in town topographically relative to other areas. And this shows that. It also shows a lot of traffic in this area, which people will also speak to you about this evening. So the history here, the properties were originally designated in January 2004 along with a swath of other properties, including the Speedwell redevelopment area, Colon Center redevelopment area, and this one. In 2008, the Spring Street redevelopment plan was adopted. Really, not much happened. A plan amendment is incorporated as a recommendation in our master plan, which I'll speak to you about a little bit. And then 42 Spring Street was approved by the planning board, and here is an image. Just so everybody knows, this is not the best rendering in the world, but it is a nice building, and it will be a nice building. You're going to see much prettier pictures this evening. But this is an image of that building and what that will be. It's sort of a triangular shaped building. I know it's hard to see that from the angle that you're looking at. This was approved, it's under construction right So the Spring Street redevelopment area, I just thought it was important to go over some of these initial objectives. Eliminate blight that they found as part of that preliminary investigation. To make efficient use of the central location. It really is in the heart of town, in the kind of geographic center of town, along the transportation routes that are most heavily used in Morristown, right next to the train station, right next to the post office. A lot of these kind of civic and cultural uses converge at this location. But it is not a development pattern that takes advantage of that whatsoever. To spur economic development, especially at this time, this was right before the recession. A lot of the growth and success that we've seen in Morristown has been kind of post-recession growth and investment. So this was, thinking back to a time where people weren't lining up to do projects like this. It was just starting for Morristown at this time, with the Highlands, and Epstein's, and Vale Mansion. That was sort of the era in which this plan was drawn. To improve the public realm, as I've showed you, it could use some love. It could use a lot of love along these sidewalks and streets there, and to foster high quality design, of course. So these are the permitted uses in that plan. Everything from multifamily residential, retail, office, hotel. These uses are broken out by phase. I'll show you a map, and I think that folks from the development team will speak to this. The maximum height, depending on the different phase that you are in, was anywhere between 4 to 8 stories. This is approved under the current plan today. And these were some of the maximum intensity, maximum yields, as we would say. Anywhere between 275 to 325 residential units, 55,000 to 65,000 square feet of retail, the same for office, and 125 to 175 room hotel. This is the way the plan laid out. As you can see, there was a lot of probably compromises that were made at the time, and we actually do have, you're going to hear from the original drafter of this plan tonight. The surface parking lot in the front. It's not surprising to me to see that at this time, because it takes a leap of confidence to start to put the parking in the back or to put the parking in a garage, because most landlords and most commercial owners believe that people are not going to patronize a restaurant or a shop if they can't see their parking, especially the lens through which this space was viewed as a highway commercial, as I had said before. So this sort of tried to split the baby a little bit and continue that visible surface parking, while also bringing in some of these more intense landforms like the mixed-use hotel with retail, residential with retail, a parking garage back here, and then it saw Spring Street as sort of tapering down into purely residential uses. And we're kind of off to that start already. And just, it looks weird because I wanted it to be oriented the same way. But these are the different phases of the plan. I don't know that they were intended to be sequential in this way. I just wanted to let everybody know sort of how this was being phased and the properties that were being grouped together under this plan. In 2014, we adopted the master plan, and I'm going to just read this direct quote from our current master plan. The Spring Street redevelopment plan was adopted in 2008 but has not been implemented. The plan should be amended via a public planning process to accurately reflect the intended character of the TC3, Town Core 3 Community Forum District and resolve various traffic issues. So there's a little quick of what that means. And this is a sketch that ended up in the master plan that we put together, the master plan team, showing buildings up to the street, showing these, walkable, more traditional sidewalks. This was a new street that could go, and I think you'll be, surprised, or maybe not, that the plan that you're going to see tonight has a lot of these elements incorporated into it. And I think resolves traffic issues in ways that at this time we didn't imagine were possible.
Morristown.